All right, welcome back to another episode of the Kartercast. I'm your host, Carter Bond. With me, as always, is Connor Sparrow. We're not talking NBA today. It's college basketball season. It's March Madness. Conference tournaments have started. It's amazing. And I'll be honest, during March, I don't remember anything that's ever happened in the NBA in March. Like, I could not tell you one thing that's ever happened. I think, like, Steph Curry hit that long three-pointer against Oklahoma City in March. That's probably about all
Sounds
I remember.
right. Sounds right. In the NBA's defense, though, these last 10 days since the All-Star break have been very competitive. There's been some pretty big juggernaut games, guys going at it. Like today, the Suns-Mavs game was pretty good. But I understand. When it comes March, it's college basketball season, and I'm willing to accept that and give in.
Yeah, I am on standby where if I'm watching a close game, I have to text out people. I have people that are watching a close game. They have to text me. We got it going because guess what? You can't keep up with all these conference tournaments, but you want to watch a close game. I want to watch the SoCon semifinals and see Campbell blow a 12-point lead against UNC Asheville. I want to see that. But we're talking college basketball today. We're going to talk the ACC Tournament, my favorite time of the year, my favorite event, the ACC Tournament in Greensboro. We're recording this at roughly 6:30 Eastern on Sunday, March 5th. But before we get into our tournament preview and everything, let's recap the Duke-Carolina game. Duke wins 62-57.
We can just skip this. We can just go right to the tournament if you want to.
No, we're talking about this. I've been in hell for a year. And now we finally get a sweep. We're talking. Duke wins 62, Carolina 57 in the Dean Dome. I put out on my preview on Cartercast.com. If you didn't see it, it wasn't a bad article. I mean, predictions weren't there. Kind of reverse jinxed myself in every ways. But anyhow, two things I said in this game were the X factors for Carolina. If they wanted to win, the X factors between Caleb Love and Pete Nance had to step up.
Yeah.
One of them has to step up, and we didn't see that yesterday. I think that was genuinely the difference. You can say, oh, well, Duke had more second chance points or blah, 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 or shot better from three percentage-wise. You can say that too. But at the end of the day, Caleb Love and Pete Nance are what separates this team from a bubble team to they're a legit tournament team. That's the difference.
And the thing is, Carolina's battled this all year long, and it really came back to bite them, not only this game, but other games as well, especially this game. There's nowhere else you can turn. If Caleb Love's off, if Pete Nance is off, where else are you going to turn? You don't have a bench. The only bench player that's gotten double-digit consistent minutes this year is Puff Johnson, who's very injury-prone. He went out of the lineup yesterday in the first half, ended up coming back in. But I'm just looking at the stats right here for the season. There is only one guy off the bench who averages more than 10 minutes a game. That's Puff Johnson. DeMarco Dunn, Seth Trimble, they're all right there, 9, 8. Nobody on the bench averages above 4 points a game, including Puff Johnson. Nobody on the bench averages above 4 points a game. You can't be a consistent tournament team like that. I know last year there was the whole Iron 5 thing. Pete Nance is not Brady Manick, and last night you saw if guys are cold, Duke can just key in on R.J. Davis. They can double Baycott, because what's he going to do, pass out to Pete Nance, who's 1 for 11? It makes it easier on him, and it's hard for Hubert Davis to play these bench guys. I know they need the wins and they're inexperienced, but I'm willing to sacrifice some of those early minutes early in the year because it would have been paying off around now, really when they need them. So it really sucks to see.
At what point is this on Hubert Davis? Because, you can say Caleb Love and all this, the players obviously have to play better. But when you watched Carolina's offense, I sent you that clip just now where it was, in the second half or whatever, just a gross possession. You could have called the foul on Jeremy Rich, whatever. If you're listening,
right.
This is awful podcasting. But anyhow, it's a one possession where they just dribble around, they look around, everyone's kind of ball watching, waiting for someone else to make magic happen, and nobody can. Carolina's offense, even last year, even during the tournament, it wasn't a great offense. They just kept making tough shots. I've been re-emphasizing that throughout the year, throughout the offseason, even during last year's tournament, because it was so perplexing watching Carolina last year during the tournament. You're just thinking, how in the world are they making these shots? Every single shot in that tournament felt contested except for the Marquette and St. Peter's game. Every single shot was contested. They just kept draining shots. They had that confidence. And then once they had expectations on them and they couldn't meet those expectations, things got real, man. And it kind of brings me to my next point, shot of confidence here. Caleb Love is a shell of himself. I don't know what's going on. Between him and Hubert Davis, something weird is happening.
I don't know how much of it's on Hubert Davis. I mean, definitely some of the blame has to go there. I thought last night at the end of the game, when they were down 3 with the ball with 10 seconds left, I'm all for not calling a timeout. Roy Williams was notorious for never calling a timeout, which I think worked out in his favor more often than not, and I'm fine with that. But if you watched the game last night, you saw the offense. I get it. You don't know what the defense gets set. But did you really think they could create something like that off the dribble with 10 seconds left without calling a play? The way the rest of that game went, I don't think so.
But even before that, they were calling timeouts and setting up plays, and still nothing was happening. So I don't think you can call out like the timeout or non-timeouts to set up a play. Like they didn't score a field goal for the final 4 minutes and 20 seconds in the game last night. So I don't think you can blame the timeout part. It's just that I don't know what it is. Something is just weird with this team, and it kind of goes back to the Final Four last year where every single Carolina fan in New Orleans, in that building, around the country, sold their soul to Satan that night to win that game. And Satan's coming to collect his debts.
And guess what? I would do it again. If it meant we'd beat Duke in the Final Four, I would do it again. I would take 5 years of missing the tournament. I would do it. You have to. You have to do it, Karter.
5 years is a long time. I don't
maybe
think
not
I would.
Maybe not 5 consecutive, but that's
Five
the ultimate.
is a long
It's the ultimate.
time.
It's the ultimate trump card. It's the ultimate trump card. It's fine.
The thing is, like, I don't even think it is the ultimate trump card because
Come on.
no, I mean, like, if I was a Duke fan, obviously I would, or if I was a Carolina fan, obviously I would say it was the ultimate trump card. But the thing is, I don't think it's the ultimate trump card. Is what do they really have to show for it? Like, yeah, they retired Coach K, like, whatever. But if you're bad for these following years and you didn't get a national title out of that, like, does it, like, yeah, you'll have that night, but you didn't win the title. You don't have a banner to show for it.
I'm still taking it.
You have the exact same banner that Duke put up last year.
Well, that's the thing. Unless Duke is, like, consistently better than Carolina over these next few years and they're ranked in the top 10 and Carolina
seems like they will be.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see about that. Then, yeah, maybe we can have that argument. But as of right now, obviously it's disappointing. But, if it's a matter of this or that, I'm still taking the Final Four.
Real quick, back to Hubert Davis real quick and their play style. It's so weird when you watch this Carolina team, and I think I finally figured them out. I think the thing is that Armando Bacot's a phenomenal half-court player. Half-court, if he was in Virginia's offense, perfect. Oh, my gosh, he'd be perfect in that offense. But Caleb Love and R.J. Davis are run and gun. And that's why, like, Brady Manick, he's kind of a run and gun guy. Shoot in transition. Let's go. Let's run. And that's when Carolina's actually at their best. And they tried to run a little too much half-court offense. When they were running last night, I think it's when they got up 6. It was like 48-42. They were running. Yeah. They had Duke on the ropes. And then they just stalled the game. And credit to Duke. I feel like that's part of Duke's defense. Duke played phenomenal defense as they have all year. But, like, it's like the guards and Bacot have such contrasting styles, and they feel like they have to get the ball to Bacot enough because he is good. He's a great player, but like these two guards have to be run and gun guys.
The thing about Carolina's offense that frustrates me so much, especially this year, it's been amplified because they haven't been hitting these tough shots. There's so many of these dribble handoff, high ball screens, back screens up there. You don't have to worry about anybody cutting. You don't have to worry about any false action on the backside. There's nobody cutting the rim when Bacot gets the ball. It's literally stand around on the backside. If he gets doubled, then we'll swing it around and shoot a contested 3. There's no cutting. There's no movement. If you're the defense, and credit to Duke, if you're the defense, you can just key in on the post when Bacot has the ball. You send 2 guys over there. There's not enough spacing and not enough good shooters on the floor for it to matter. They can literally just load up that strong side of the ball. And just all year, there's been little to no movement. The guy who has the most energy off the bench is Puff Johnson. He's the one cutting and getting these offensive rebounds, but he can't play more than 20 minutes a game. So it's just a recipe. If you're not hitting these tough shots in that offense, it just doesn't seem to work. So I don't know what the answer is, but these like dribble handoffs to the top where Duke just goes under ball screens and switches everything and does not get punished for it, it hurt to watch. I'm not going to lie.
Caleb Love, kind of like what you were saying, though, with the guards taking tough shots. Like, Caleb Love can hit those tough shots. There is just something weird going on between him and Hubert Davis. Like, I would be genuinely shocked if he's at Carolina next year.
I would, too. I texted you last night. Well, first of all, he got benched early in the first half after he took a contested 3. Got put in the doghouse for a few minutes. But the thing is, back to the bench thing, you can't leave him out for long. You don't have a guy to come in and match that level of production. And the other thing is, I texted you last night. I was like, Caleb Love hurt his draft stock a lot by coming back this year. I hate to say it. I would be shocked if he's back in Carolina Blue next year also. I think he at least enters the transfer portal. And if not, then maybe tests out the draft process, even though he's played pretty bad this year. But I don't think I see him back in Carolina next year.
No, the body language is horrific. Horrific by Caleb Love. Let's go to the other side. Let's talk about Duke real quick. John Shire, man. I mean, questions were had at the beginning of the year, losing weird games, getting blown out by Purdue, and then you lose some of these really bad ACC games. He's answered every question. And we said this last time in the Duke-Carolina game. He outcoached Hubert Davis last night. The small adjustment that was massive last night that kind of goes under the radar is early on, they were guarding Leaky Black at the perimeter because they know they got burned last game. Leaky Black went 3 for 6 last game, and Leaky Black hit his first one last night, and so they guard him out to the perimeter. And then he missed his next 2, and then Duke just completely stayed off of him. They threw Filipowski on the double to Baycott, caused hell for Baycott all night, and then they said, you know what? Now that Leaky Black's off tonight, let's let Leaky Black beat us. Let's let Pete Nance beat us because I don't believe they can.
Credit to John Shire because Leaky Black took the most shots for Carolina last night. He was 3 for 16, 1 for 7 from 3. And he should be the 5th option in that offense. Baycott only took 8 shots. He had 10 free throws. He was being aggressive. But they keyed in on him so much there's nothing he could do. Credit to John Shire, man, because especially in college, I've always thought this. It's almost like, how teams play Russell Westbrook in the NBA? Well, there's not many guys in the NBA you can do that with that just can't hit an open shot like that. But in college, there's more guys you can really just leave alone out there. Like, all 5 guys cannot shoot like in the NBA. So, teams love to load up against Carolina. I don't know why they don't do it more. Like, if Leaky Black misses his first few shots, load up the strong side. And, hey, if you're gonna hit a corner 3 or an extra pass 3, go ahead.
Yeah, and you could see after Leaky's, 3rd miss from 3, it was in his head.
Yeah, I agree.
And another thing about Duke last night is beginning of the game, Filipowski was all over the place. He was trying to do too much. The game was in his head, and you're like, oh, my gosh, not this again. Please not this again. And then he goes to the bench. I guess Shire, Emil Jefferson, whoever talks to him, calms down, gets into the game, and he took over. He was the best player last night by a mile.
He did. And in the first matchup, Derek Lively shut Armando down. He was one of the best players for y'all. I'd say the best player in that game for Duke. He only played 17 minutes last night. He had 4 fouls, got some early fouls quick, and you called that. Credit to Ryan Young, though. He wasn't completely awful, and they sent that double. That double team worked, and in the post-game interview, Filipowski got asked about it. And he was saying we wanted to make him think about it. Is it coming? Is it not coming? And that split second where you turn around, you're expecting them to be there and they're not, that's the second you have to make the move. And when you're looking for that double team and it's not there, it does something a little bit. Like you get delayed a couple seconds. So once again, Duke with that double team, I mean, it really hurt us.
Yeah, and I put out in the article on Saturday morning when I tweeted it out or whatever that the 2 keys for Carolina to win were get Derek Lively in foul trouble. They did that. They kept it. Lively only played 17 minutes, and he could have easily had a 5th at the end there if they would have been aggressive enough into him. Yeah. He only played 17 minutes, but Caleb Love, Pete Nance, that was the difference. That was the key difference in this game. Jeremy Roach made the play when it mattered. The other thing about Carolina in that game last night is Proctor and Roach were tired in that second half. They looked gassed, and Carolina did not expose that at all.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like with the cuts and stuff on offense, I feel like if you just put them in more action, like they were literally just handing the ball off up top. They didn't have to work to switch. They just said, hey, let me point. You take him, I'll take him. Mm-hmm. There was no movement. They weren't really getting hit with screens. They didn't have to chase anybody off these back screens, pin down screens. They didn't make a move. It was just, here, let me throw the ball one side of the court to the other, and then, hey, your turn, 10 seconds left on the clock, ISO ball. That doesn't make the defense work, doesn't make a move. So I agree.
Derek Lively at the end, though, was the difference, too.
Oh, he was. He 100% was.
Those two plays were unbelievably massive.
And, gosh, if it had been anybody except Leaky Black on that one where Duke's defender fell down, he was open, and he just – I mean, it's a tough shot. He's off-balanced. Anybody – I love Leaky. Anybody but him.
Yeah, but just tip of the cap to John Shire, man. Unbelievable job. Like, winning, I don't care how bad Carolina or Duke is. Like, if you go 2-0 and sweep one or the other in your first season as a coach,
impressive. That's
super impressive. And they ended up getting the double bye in the ACC tournament, which we'll get into.
Right.
They also they should have been the first seed if it wasn't for that stupid missed call in the Virginia game, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Should we get into the ACC tournament?
Yeah, we can. We can talk about the demise of Carolina's season. Last time we'll see them on the court. So.
No, they'll be in the NIT.
No.
I'm trying to think. One last thing on the Carolina game. That Pete Nance dunk, I was literally out loud laughing. That was so funny.
I texted you, and my comparison was, you think of a guy that doesn't play basketball, maybe a football player, lacrosse guy, somebody who thinks they're athletic, and they're on like a 9.5-foot hoop, and they just don't know what to do with their, body.
It's like a lacrosse player playing basketball.
Yeah, it's like, oh, let me go dunk this, but he's never dunked before in his life, so he's like, just like.
Ooh. That was a huge point in that game, though, like him missing that dunk.
And he couldn't decide what to do. Just lay it up.
And another huge point was when Derek White had fouled Caleb Love, when Caleb Love jumped from like the ACC logo to slam it on that fast break at the beginning. And
he went 1 for 2.
He went 1 for 2 at the line. The momentum from that crowd was begging to pop last night at the Dean Dome.
Yeah. Imagine if you would have just made an and one layup. That place would have exploded.
Oh, my gosh. But, no, credit to Duke. I mean, 6 in a row for Duke, going to the ACC tournament. I mean, peaking at the perfect time. They have 2 guards to run their rotation. Filipowski's playing well. Mark Mitchell's driving to the basket, playing unbelievable defense. Derek Lively's insane underneath. I think this is going to be crazy. Like, I don't think he's as good of a rim protector as Mark Williams, but I think he's a better defender than Mark Williams because when he gets switched on to guards, he can hang with any guard.
Yeah. Especially when you're playing with Carolina's offense, which is dribble around and choke a contested 3 from 30 feet.
All right, let's do the ACC tournament now. It's finally that time. The ACC tournament is back in Greensboro, finally, and hopefully it's not the last time. It's back where it belongs. I cannot wait to be there. I'm flying a red eye on Tuesday night from Utah, getting in Wednesday morning at 5 a.m., driving up from Charlotte, going to the ACC tournament on 0 sleep. I don't care. I don't need sleep. Who needs sleep? I'll sleep when I'm dead, Connor.
Sleep in April.
Yeah, and you know why I have to be there Wednesday? Because let's start it here. We're going through the bracket right now. If you can see on the screen, we'll have it up on there. If you're listening on audio, we'll go through it for you real quick. Wednesday, we're not going to talk about Tuesday. Those games suck. Those teams are irrelevant except for maybe Virginia Tech. But let's talk about Wednesday, excuse me. Wednesday at noon, March 8th. Syracuse versus Wake Forest at noon at the Greensboro Coliseum. Home sweet home. The Demon Deacons are only playing 30 minutes from campus. I need Wake to win this game bad.
I would love Wake to win, but I'm worried, Carter. They just played yesterday.
Jesse Edwards
had 27 and 20 with 5 steals on them yesterday. Wake's checked out. Ever since Monsato went down, he was one of the leaders in the 3-point percentage in the ACC, and they've lost a couple of these games. They were in the tournament hunt 2 weeks ago. They were on the bubble 2 weeks ago, and they have completely checked out. What are they now? They are 18 and 13. Ugh, that's rough.
Yeah, it's very, very bad for the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. 2 guys care. 2 guys care, and it's David Williamson and Tyree Appleby. Nobody else cares on that roster. Nobody plays defense. But you never know. I mean, the ACC tournament can do weird things, and all it takes is for Williamson to start hitting threes against that Syracuse zone. Yeah. One player just has to hit threes, and that zone is ruined. And we'll start here now. I got my tickets. I'm not doing media credential. None of that. No, I'm with the common people. I'm in the crowd. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm there where I'm meant to be. I'm sitting 4th row. I did my best research. I think I'm 4th row, right by the Syracuse tunnel.
You're going to witness Boeheim's demise, isn't that right?
So right there, yep. So I am making it my personal goal this week at the ACC tournament on Wednesday to retire Jim Boeheim. I know Big Cat did it with Coach K last year, and I'm going to do it with Boeheim in Greensboro. Home sweet home for me. I'm going crazy Wake Forest fan. I'm going to be heckling that whole game. I'm making sure Jim Boeheim cries his way home, retires. I already retired Tom Brady this year. People aren't talking about that. I retired Tom Brady in that Cowboys game. I'm going to retire Jim Boeheim on Wednesday. I will make it my goal. I don't care. I don't need sleep to retire Jim Boeheim. I'm coming up there, 0 sleep. I'll drink a zillion souvenir sodas. Whatever it takes, I will be there locked and loaded, and I'm going to be the last sight Jim Boeheim sees as he's walking out the tunnel, me waving bye. Bye-bye, Boeheim, baby. Bye-bye.
in your tie-dye shirt and your golden black wig and your screaming Deacon ice cream in your hand and the Demon Deacon on the motorcycle revving on the court.
Oh my gosh, that's one of my dreams. I hope this podcast gets big enough to where I get to ride on the motorcycle with the Demon Deacon into a away game.
Oh, that'd be electric. That'd be electric.
That's what I have to do. That's the whole goal of this podcast. It's not to get a zillion views. It's not to get that. It's just so I can get on that motorcycle with the Wake Forest Demon Deacon riding into the Joel. But no, like to the game part of it, Wake just has to hit threes. I mean, that's what it's going to be. I'm very worried about Wake. I think Syracuse might even be favored in this one by like 2 or 3, which scares me. But I mean, and also Wake money line. I'm going to be taking Wake money line. I love the Wake Forest Demon Deacons in this one. I will personally be retiring Jim Boeheim. I will go there. If you have any ideas on what I should do at the games, please send them to me. I have some in my head right now. I have some signs I want to make. I don't know if I'll have enough time getting from the airport to the game, but it's I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
You could always go the route of, jingling your car keys around like the Carolina students did to Palo last year.
No, I'm not. No, we can't. No.
Sorry. Hey, hand up. That was insensitive. Hand up.
Golly. I'm not even editing it out. I don't care. But Jim Boeheim's got to go. It's done. It would be like everyone talks about poetic justice and like, yeah, I love Coach K. Like, he did unbelievable things at Duke, obviously. Yeah. But the show around Coach K got old as a Duke fan. It gets old, and everyone hating on him. Like, eventually gets old. It's kind of refreshing having John Shire in there. Yeah. And it was kind of poetic justice that Coach K loses to Carolina, like in his last game, to send him home. What better way to send Jim Boeheim home for his career than in Greensboro against Wake Forest, a team 30 minutes from the Coliseum?
Oh my gosh, because the way Jim Boeheim's ragged on Greensboro, North Carolina the last few years, it'd be perfect. You can't think of a better outcome than that. Going back to the game real quick, though, I mentioned it before. The perfect player for the Syracuse zone is Damari Monsanto. Listen to this stat. Yeah. Listen to this. He was shooting 41% from 3, second leading scorer for Wake. True shooting percentage of over 60%. It's very impressive. It sucks he's out for the year because without him, like, does Wake have enough shooters? It really boils down to Davian Williamson hitting those outside shots on the wing.
Yeah, he's got to hit those. Tyree Appleby's got to play like out of his mind, insane against that zone.
Yep.
And they got to play defense. That's the thing. They just don't play defense anymore ever since the NC State game. And Monsanto being out, he's their heat check guy. You always want to have one kind of heat check guy. Like, obviously, Carolina has it with Caleb Love, and Jordan Clarkson's the perfect example in basketball. You kind of want to have a Jordan Clarkson on your team, but you don't want too much of a Jordan Clarkson on your team, if you know what I'm saying. But,
you can't be relying on that heat check guy. You got to have other places to go, and like that has to be like an addition.
Exactly, and that's why like Monsanto being out is so like it stinks for them. But anyhow, I got my tickets. I'm 4th row. I'm gonna be right by the tunnel, so I'm on the edge, on the aisle, like right where the tunnel is. So Jim Boeheim, his last sight in his college basketball coaching career will be me waving at him. Bye. I will make sure to get a video of it. Oh my gosh, I can't wait for that. But let's talk about the next game. It's the 5-seed Pitt. They'll probably be playing Georgia Tech. Or Florida State. Who cares? Who knows? Shout out Josh Pastner, our guy. Let's cheer for Georgia Tech, actually.
I like that.
You feel so bad for Pitt, man. They were one shot away from being the 1 seed and winning this conference, and now they're playing on Wednesday as the 5 seed. Like, I don't think there's ever been that drastic of a and then the shot almost went in.
I know.
So, I don't know, but I said this to you before we started, and I've said it to other people before, but as a Duke fan, they could not be in a better spot because you look at the top 9 seeds in the ACC right now. Yeah. I know Wake is checked out and everything, but Duke-Wake is just not what you want. Besides Syracuse, besides the Wake-Syracuse game, if you had to pick someone, you'd probably pick Pitt to play in that first game on Thursday.
I think so, too. I mean, you can make the argument Carolina State, but the thing with Pittsburgh is you know what you're getting. If you got NC State, Terquavion Smith and Joyner can go off for 25 each. You saw Carolina last year, and they've got the potential to go off. You can never really count them out, even though I do. But you can never really count them out. And then, like I said, State's a heat check team. Pittsburgh, you kind of know what you're getting. And you're not really – I don't know what it is, but you're not really terrified to play Pittsburgh.
No, but it's not going to be an easy game when you play Pittsburgh. It's not, because Duke would be like a 5.5, 6 point favorite. Just stay so far away from the spread as possible, because it's going to be a 3-point game. Like, they're going to make it miserable, but you feel confident going into that game.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I think out of those 9, I think Syracuse is probably the bottom. And then I think it's a toss-up. I mean, Wake's struggling, but...
Yeah, but Wake in North Carolina, like right there, there's going to be a decent amount of Wake fans at those games because Wake's had a decent season. Like, you don't want to play that. There's going to be no Pitt fans there. There's going to be the parents and the families. And
you mentioned this with Boston College, actually. But Pittsburgh with expectations, are we back
Exactly. So my dream scenario is Georgia Tech makes it to Thursday and plays Duke.
Oh my gosh!
Even though, like, shout out our guy Josh Pastner, I just want to see him do well. So, but for the Pitt game, that's all we'll talk about there. Carolina playing on the Wednesday night session, 7 p.m. They're playing the winner of Boston College Louisville. So let's just say it's Boston College. Boston College is going to be a tough out because it's going to be like Carolina fans are looking at their bracket and be like, oh yeah, we just got to beat Virginia now, and they're kind of overlooking that game, which is kind of scary.
Yep.
And I know Hubert Davis did the whole coach talk last night where he's like, well, I'm focused on Wednesday. I don't need to win 4 games in the ACC tournament, blah, blah, blah. But in reality, in your head, you're thinking, I need to win 4 games to make the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, Carolina played Boston College in the middle of January. It was an 8-point win. It was not a stroll in the park. They made it difficult. It was a tough game. If they're not hitting shots and it's a close game, I don't like Carolina's chances. I don't like Carolina's chances in any kind of close game at the end because it seems like they have no offense at the end of the games, and they don't give up, but they kind of crumble. And once a couple things go wrong, they didn't score for the last 4 minutes last night. So if it gets down to the last 4 minutes and it's a 1 or 2 possession game, that terrifies me. They have to do their work early in that game.
Absolutely, but I just think Baycott being a safety net will be the difference.
Yeah.
And I think they'll be fine.
In a game like that, yeah.
And I'm not trying to do the whole reverse jinx thing. I really do think Carolina takes care of business in that one, and it might not be easy, but I think they'll be fine. Wednesday, this is the game of the day. Like, for me, it's Wake Forest, Syracuse, just because I want to retire Jim Boeheim. It's probably going to be State, Virginia Tech. If Virginia Tech plays Notre Dame, Notre Dame's checked out. Notre Dame just wanted one big win
for Mike Bray,
and then they're like, yeah, we're done. We don't care anymore. Like, whatever.
Yeah. I agree. I think it'll probably be VT State, and I think, you know what, give me your State take. You gave me a good one before the podcast. I'll give you the floor here.
So I think NC State either loses to Virginia Tech on Wednesday at 9:30, or they make the championship game. I don't think there's an in-between with this team. Like, they are going to be so streaky, and especially I love the storylines that's going to come out if this State team does make it to Saturday night, is because all it's going to be talked about is Jimmy V and the 83 team making that miraculous run in the 83 ACC tournament against Ralph Sampson and stuff. It's going to be awesome. I think NC State will be fine. NC State's my pick to win it just because from a betting perspective, they're plus 1,600 right now to win the ACC tournament. That's phenomenal odds on a team that can definitely win it. Like, all the other ones, it's like Duke, Virginia, Miami are all plus 300. I would lean with just Duke or Miami, whichever one you like out of those two. But State at 1,600, it's very good value.
And Carolina's only plus 600, so I don't know if they haven't watched them this year. Like, they are
that's just because
begging people.
Because they know people are going to be like, Carolina, they were in the Final Four last year. They played in the national championship. They're going to make it.
No, State, though, I mean, you're going to know. You're going to know pretty early on if this team's hot or cold. You're going to know.
And what's scary if you're a State fan is, one, Virginia Tech fans travel very well to Greensboro. There's not going to be a shortage of Hokie fans shaking their keys on a key play. And then on the other side, with NC State, they're obviously going to have an awesome – I don't know if anybody travels better than NC State in Greensboro besides probably Carolina. It's probably 50-50 right there.
Yeah, I'd say so.
What's scary is that the team that gets to play first – gets their feet wet, they understand the court, they understand their bearings right, they have confidence because they just won a game, and so they're going into that next game confident, loose, and ready to roll because they know on that next day they're not expected to win that game. So they're coming in as the underdog. They've already played on that court. They've gotten a feel for what it's like in a tournament atmosphere, and Virginia Tech, basically most of this team was on their ACC tournament title run last year, and Mike Young, phenomenal coach, one of my favorite coaches in this conference. That's the last team you want to play on a Wednesday night.
And like you just mentioned, it's underrated. Playing on a court, getting a feel for the rims, how the court is, whatever.
Think about your playing days. Think about when you played on the Joel Coliseum in Winston-Salem for the Frank Spencer.
Oh my gosh, I think the final score of my first game was like 40-40. Like you don't. It takes you a minute. Yeah, I mean it's high school. Yeah, of course, it's easy for size, but it takes you a minute to really get used to like those rims. It's different on like a bigger stage, and you're not playing at home. And the thing is, VT, if they win, having only played that one game. That's the sweet spot where it's like, okay, we got our feet wet, we're warmed up, we got to feel for the court, and they're not tired. They're not dragging. Maybe after 2 or 3 games, then that comes into play. But after one game, that's the sweet spot. So State's going to be coming in cold. It's going to take them a half to get used to it. 10 minutes, maybe a half of a half. Who knows?
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting how they come out. But I like State. Like I said, if they beat Virginia Tech, I think the confidence is going to be rolling with that State team. I think a lot of these State fans are going to start talking themselves into buying Saturday tickets. And Clemson's no joke. Like, Clemson's a hard team, but State. We saw what happened last time Clemson and State played. Clemson shot the lights out. State's going to be looking for revenge in that one too.
Clemson's beatable. Clemson's very beatable. I'm telling you, they're not like a daunting 3 seed. They're not a daunting 3 seed.
No, and NC State is a daunting 6 seed. They are a daunting 6 seed.
I think so too.
So
from a Carolina perspective, though, I think out of the top 4 teams, I think Virginia's the team I want to play the most.
Yeah, we'll get into them in just a second. Let's move back up to the top of the bracket.
All right.
We have on Thursday at noon, we have Miami playing the winner of Syracuse-Wake Forest. It's going to be Wake Forest because I'm guaranteeing a Wake Forest win in that Jim Bay.
Oh my gosh!
Retired in Greensboro. I will make this happen, Connor. I don't think you understand my powers. I've reversed jinxed Duke into 2 wins against Carolina this year. Like, pretty nice job. I reversed jinx hard. This is my goal. Like, I hate Jim Boeheim with a passion, and I will send him home.
He's really just – I used to feel indifferent about him, but ever since he brought up ever since he started ragging on Greensboro, and then he brought up like, oh, Miami and Pittsburgh and Wake are buying their teams, at least say Kentucky. At least say Duke or Carolina. Like, don't say Pittsburgh and Wake. Oh, my God. Give me a break, dude.
And then we're going to keep talking about Jim Boeheim, and I don't care.
That's
but
fine.
The thing is about, like – I just can't stand them. And the best part of it all is, like, they got their New York ACC tournaments in Brooklyn. Syracuse fans did not show up.
No.
Syracuse played horrible in those ACC tournaments. So guess what? Does it even matter? No. They just stuck.
There's no passion for the ACC outside of North Carolina. Let's just say it like it is. Let's just be real.
Yeah, no, and they're a Big East school, and I'd be fine if they were back in the Big East. But
when the tournament's in New York or it's in D.C., like, you see it. Like, it's not the same. Because Charlotte's a little bit better, but Greensboro is head and shoulders above the other ones.
I cannot wait for this week. I really hope Greensboro shows out for these games. I think they will. Yeah. I think it's going to be – I think the Wednesday noon session will probably be half full, maybe a little over half full. Wednesday night is going to be packed house. Every seat up to Triple B and the upper level of Greensboro is going to be full. I cannot wait.
It'll be great.
Anyhow, let's keep going real quick. Thursday quarterfinals at noon. Winner of Wake Syracuse. I think Miami wins this one, no problem.
I think so
I know
too.
We always say chalk. The issue is the 1 seed always has trouble in that first game usually because the expectations are on them. They think it doesn't matter who we play in the 8-9 game. Like, we're gonna be fine. But like going back to what we were saying, the 1 game thing is like the team that just won isn't tired.
Right. And they've got a feel.
And they've got a feel. And Miami's beatable. Like, I love this Miami team. I have them going to the Final Four. Like, I really like this Miami team, but I think it'll be a closer game than people expect. I do think Miami wins.
The thing is, everybody in this conference is beatable. There's nobody that I'm like, man, they're the odds-on favorite. It would be shocking if they didn't make it to the finals. Like, almost nothing would surprise me.
Yeah. Moving on, it's we'll have the winner of Pitt and whoever they play against Duke. Probably, let's just say it's Duke Pitt. I like Duke in any of these matchups. I like them a lot in these matchups. It's going to be a very pro Duke crowd. The benefit of Duke playing in this afternoon session is that they don't have the State and Carolina fans in the same session. So therefore, it's going to be a true Duke home crowd. You're not going to have all these Carolina fans like they did against Lehigh back in 2012. Cheering against them super hard.
I was there.
Or like against Maryland in 2013 in the ACC tournament when they got upset against like Alex Len and those guys. I don't think.
Little Gravis action?
What?
Little Gravis Vasquez action?
I don't think he was on that team.
Was he earlier? He might have been earlier.
He was earlier. I think he was.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, but anyhow, I think Duke wins. I don't think it'll be easy. I think it'll be a game that pisses me off as a Duke fan. It'll be frustrating, but I think Duke pulls it out in the end.
I think so too. And Duke's really hitting their stride at the right time, honestly. Like they've looked good over the last month. And I mean, Filipowski got interviewed after the game, and he was like, "What better time to be hitting their stride?" And I agree. Like they've got confidence right now. It's not like overly confident where they don't think they can lose. Like they've been through the adversity, but they really are hitting their stride. So I think they'll make a couple game run.
Last thing on Duke, well, not last thing, but real quick, this is very reminiscent of the 2020 season for Duke. Like, they were kind of all year, losing some bad ACC games. Like, they never hit that, like, real potential that, like, you see these crazy Duke teams did, like, last year or the Zion year. But they were just solid. They didn't wow you in any way, really, but they were just solid. And, like, the similarities are there, like Jeremy Roach to Trey Jones. You have, like, Vernon Carey and Kyle Filipowski there. And that Duke team in 2020 was hitting their stride at the perfect time. The end of the season, they were dominating. They beat Carolina when Justin Robinson went off in that game. And then the world.
Oh, you mean Brandon Robinson?
No, Justin Robinson. The guy for Duke, number 50.
Oh, I thought you meant somebody. Oh, yeah. Oh, I remember that. Yeah, David Robinson's son. Yeah, I remember that. Oh my God! And then we saw David Robinson and Harris Teeter.
Yep. That was a Charlotte one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the year before. Yeah.
Yeah, that was. But anyhow.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
This team has a lot of the same similarities as the 2020 team. But anyhow, I like Duke beating Pitt. Let's move on. Carolina, Virginia, probably on Thursday night.
It's toss up.
Yeah, I know. This is the game of the tournament at this point. Like when it's Carolina, Virginia, UVA fans travel like crazy. And if you know me, you know how much I hate UVA fans and the Wahoos and all that stuff. And they play the most boring basketball. But you kind of have to respect Tony Bennett because I actually really like Tony Bennett, but I just don't like their fans. They're annoying. But Carolina, Virginia, I mean, kind of my worst nightmare because I'll be at that game. And I'll wear a Duke shirt. I don't care. I'm not scared.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I like Carolina.
I don't know. It's tough to beat a team that good twice. It's tough to beat a team as good as Virginia twice. I'm telling you, they're going to be back. They're going to be looking for blood after what happened in Charlottesville. I don't know. Or, I mean, the last time they played. When Carolina beat them.
Yeah,
in Chapel Hill.
Going back, does this game kind of feel like going back to the 2020 season? I don't like comparing a lot of things to the year 2020, but going back to the 2020 season, doesn't this game kind of feel like the Syracuse Wednesday night game where everyone's like, oh, Carolina's about to make a run. This is it.
A little bit, yeah, because that was another team. Well, the expectations weren't as high for that team coming in because this team just made it to the national title. But, you know, they had some dudes and there have been injuries all year. And that year, they were just cursed. That was the year where they lost about 8 games on shots within 5 seconds left in the game. So people were like, man, they've really been screwed all year. This is their chance to make a run and get into the tournament. And, yeah, I mean, it does feel pretty similar because it just doesn't seem plausible. Even back then, I was like,
because you know what's going to happen is Carolina's going to play really well on Wednesday night and beat a Louisville or Boston College, dominate them and play really well, like balls flowing, Caleb Love's hitting shots. And then the irrational Carolina fans are going to come into Greensboro on Thursday night and be like, we got Virginia. We beat them 2 weeks ago. And then Virginia just grinds it out, makes it an awful game. I'm so excited for that one. That one's going to be close. There's no way that's a blowout because Virginia physically can't blow out teams. They just can't. Like when you see Virginia as a 20-point favorite against Louisville, no, they cannot blow a team out. So it's going to stay within, double digit. I think it'll be a single digit game, but that's gonna be interesting. Caleb Love's gonna have to play big in that one, obviously, as he always has to.
I agree. I think it'll really come down to. I hope they look good in the first game and they get some rhythm. I really hope they do because they've got to hit shots against Virginia because they're few and far between. There's just not as many possessions in those games.
Moving on, State versus Clemson, most likely. State versus Clemson, 9:30 Thursday night. When you're at that 9:30 second session on the Thursday of the ACC tournament. It's a long day. You're sitting there and you're like they have that 30-minute break in between games. They're playing the same ACC ads over and over again, and they have like the same sideline person being like, "Come on, get up and cheer." And they show like One of my favorite things about the ACC tournament is like notable alumni, and it'll be like Duke, Ken Jeong, and then every single time it's Carolina, they show Michael Jordan, and every Carolina fan wearing their sweater vest feels like they have to stand up and just salute the worst owner in basketball.
You have to stand up.
Oh my gosh. Anyhow, but I always love that stuff about the ACC tournament. You're so tired on that second session at the night. It's 11:30, and you're contemplating like, gosh, I wish this was a blowout so I could go back home.
And do I get one more refill on the souvenir Coke?
Yeah.
I guess.
Do I go get cookout on the way home? Great.
Of course.
That's what I dream of. That's this is my dream week. It's so silly because everyone would be like, "Oh, isn't this like? Wouldn't you love going to the Super Bowl or something?" Like, my dream is to go to ACC tournaments in Greensboro every year. It's my favorite thing in the world. Going to get like Steamies or country.
I was gonna say, let's go to barbecue across the street.
It's perfect. Go get barbecue across the street. Weird part of Greensboro. It's just amazing. But anyhow, Clemson, NC State. I like NC State in this one, obviously, as I'm putting them to win the tournament as a future. But Clemson's no joke. I just don't believe in Clemson in this spot as long as this game's going to be a NC State home crowd, because it's going to be a weird game too, because a lot of the Virginia and Carolina fans are going to be leaving the game. They're not going to really want to stay for State Clemson. So it's going to be kind of an emptier crowd, but it's going to be a lot of Wolfpacks howling. Woo-hoo!
Right. I agree. I mean, if State can win their first game, I like them to beat Clemson. I think if they win their first game and kind of get rolling a little bit, I agree.
Yep. All right, let's keep it going. Duke, Miami, Friday night. This is a weird one. The key to Duke beating Miami, they need to put Filipowski at the 5. When Filipowski's at the 5, you kind of have to run small ball with Miami. As much as you hate it, you kind of have to do it. That's the only way you can stay with them. I know Lively's played insane lately, but he can kind of get exposed when he's going against a 6'5" guy that can just chuck up threes and they get hot. It's gonna be a home crowd for Duke. Duke's rolling at the right time. I like Duke in this matchup.
That'd be a good game. I mean, Miami can, like you said, stretch them out. They can run the 5 out. They start 4 guards pretty much. Duke's going to have to make adjustments. I think if Miami starts hot and starts hitting shots, Shire's really going to have to make adjustments, and he's shown he can. So I kind of like Duke, too. I kind of like Duke in this one, too.
Moving on, the night game, whatever you think it is, it could be Virginia-Clemson, Virginia State, Carolina-Clemson, Carolina State. I'm going to go with Carolina versus State. I think this is like magic finally happening in Greensboro, because Greensboro hasn't had a real ACC tournament since 2015 when Notre Dame won it. Ever since then, you've had some weird stuff going on, whether it's like bathroom laws or COVID, national pandemic, screwed 2 of them, or worldwide pandemic, rather. Like, the Greensboro, I feel like the magic is going to happen. The dream scenario would be Friday night. It's Wake, Duke, and Carolina State. Like, obviously that's not going to happen, but the tickets would be $500, and I would pay it.
That would be amazing. And Carolina State in the semifinal, that's terrifying to me. That's terrifying because
unbelievable.
I will say,
I pray it's Carolina State.
I will say, after what happened in the last game, I like Carolina playing them again. I really do. I don't think their guards hit those tough shots again. I don't think they'll do that many games in a row in the tournament, and I don't think they'll do it like they did last matchup. There's no way.
I like State in that matchup because I think those guards do hit those shots. Why would I believe they won't hit those shots when they've been hitting them all year and Carolina hasn't?
We're going to see. You know what? That's a game that I would really get a feel for depending on the first couple games they play in the tournament. Like, that's really when you'll know.
And what's interesting, going back to Carolina real quick, a lot of people say they have to make it to Saturday to get into the NCAA tournament. I think they're going to get the benefit of the doubt. As long as some other bubble teams fall off, I think they might get the benefit of the doubt if they make it to Friday night.
It's never a good thing when you're banking on other teams to lose. And after that Duke loss,
no, it's not a good thing.
But if they beat Duke, then I would agree with you. But I really think they have to make it to Saturday. At least Friday, but I think really Saturday.
At least Friday, no ifs, ands, or buts.
Man, I don't know.
But I think if they beat Virginia and get that quality Q1 win, then tell me, if you're the NCAA tournament committee and you're like, hey, do we want to put Utah State or Nevada on Tuesday in Dayton, or do we want to put the North Carolina Tar Heels?
Oh, well, I mean,
they want ratings.
If they want ratings, they want money. If they want support, then sure, they're going to put Carolina in. But I don't know if the resume is that similar. We'll have to see what the other bubble teams do. Yeah. But right now, they're on the outside looking in. So
yeah, they are, and they have to beat Virginia. That's what it comes down to. But anyhow, if it's Carolina State on that Friday night, I like State. I even like State going against Virginia, to be honest. I kind of like State going against Virginia.
If they hit those, if their guards hit the tough shots, that's what it comes down to. It really comes down to them hitting the tough shots and getting hot.
And then title game, you can say whatever it is. There's obviously a zillion scenarios. I like mine to be Duke versus NC State, and I think Duke wins the ACC title in Greensboro.
If you put a gun
give
on
me
my head,
you got to give me a title pick. And
if you told me to, I think Miami beats Duke, and I think it's Miami Virginia. I think it's Miami Virginia because I don't think Carolina's going to win it, and I'm not going to pick Carolina to go to the title game and lose. So I'm going to go with Miami Virginia, and I think it stays chalk. And I think Miami wins.
I think it's Duke NC State and Duke wins the title, but
that'd be such a fun game, much more fun game.
Oh my gosh, and that would just be perfect for Greensboro. I want a North Carolina team in that ACC title game just for Greensboro's sake, just for the Coliseum's sake. But I cannot wait for this week. We went way longer than I thought. Real quick, we're gonna just talk about a few of our favorite things about the ACC tournament. I put you on the spot here. We're just gonna roll with it. Just a couple things you love about the ACC tournament. Kind of weird stuff. Like I'll give one real quick. Like one of the funniest things about the ACC tournament is sometimes it can bring out the creepiest old guys, and there's a lot of dudes that like to bring their binoculars and then just watch the cheerleaders dance during timeouts. They're just sitting there watching the cheerleaders.
They're more tuned in during halftime than they are during the game.
Yeah, during the TV, they're the only people on planet Earth that are like, oh my gosh, we got to get to this next TV timeout.
When is the under 8 coming in?
And then they sit there and let's pretend the mic is the binocular. They're doing this, and they're just recording the lens on.
They are. I've witnessed that. I've witnessed that many times.
There's so many. It happens every single year without fail. Even when I was in New York, it happens all the time.
I'll tell you what. One of my favorite things is either halftime of a game or after a session when everybody crowds out to the concourse and everybody goes to the bathroom. And, when you're waiting in line for the bathroom, you're just talking about the game with these random people you've never met before. You find somebody with the same jersey on as you, the same team as you. You're like, that was a good show. It's like, man, I don't want to see Virginia next round. Man, VT look good. I don't know, if they're hitting shots next round. Just making the small talk with just the people of Greensboro, the ACC fans, the like-minded fans. I love it.
The other thing, I'll say about that, going to the halftime, ACC tournament, top tier, A1, A-list halftime shows.
Oh, yeah.
They don't skimp. Simon Says, elite halftime show. Red Panda, elite halftime show.
She's falling off.
No,
she's falling off a little bit.
Stop.
I don't know.
Stop that. Also, if Red Panda is performing at halftime during the Duke game, we're screwed. But Red Panda has not fallen off. You take those words back. Oh, my God. This is why people hate Carolina fans. This is why. You're trashing our national treasure, Red Panda. I guess
I call it like I see it. It's not our national treasure.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know if it's our national treasure. I had to rethink that. But anyhow, no, going back, another halftime show. The guy who throws the paintings at the canvas.
That's a good one.
He did Dean Smith when he died.
That's a good one.
There's a new one. The guy with the fedoras. I don't know. They have unbelievable halftime shows.
Frisbee dogs are pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but ACC halftime shows are unbelievable. Like I mentioned, they put the notable alumni before each game. And then one thing I don't like is the bands. I'm tired of the bands.
Yeah, it's a little much sometimes, I got to say.
Sometimes you're just golly, dude. I've drank 19. If you drink alcohol, you're I've had 6 beers or I've had 9 Mountain Dews. Last thing I want to hear is this band just blaring a Macklemore song.
I agree. I agree. But I got to go back to something else I love. It's just the overall camaraderie. If you're walking down the streets of Greensboro, there's nothing else going on. If this tournament's in New York, it is not the same vibe. Even Charlotte, it's a bigger city, not the same vibe. What else is going on in Greensboro? That's the thing. That's what's popping. Everybody's walking down the street. They got their, they're repping their teams. And the thing is, their team could be Louisville. They're still going to be at the Friday games. They're still going to be fans of every team in all these games. It's so nice. And if they take it away from Greensboro, it's going to be shattering to me. It's going to be shattering.
Yeah, they probably will, and that'll be the downfall of the ACC and all this bull crap and losing tradition in college sports. I'm trying another thing I love, just the in between sessions, especially if your team had just won at the late game, the Thursday 2:30 game, and then you're going in the night game, you're I don't have to stress about this. I just get to watch basketball freely. But there's nothing worse than when your team loses and then you got to go to the night session. You're I just don't care about this. This sucks.
But you got to get your money's worth. You got to use the tickets.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
One more thing. Yeah, one more thing. This is like a throwback, and for you, I mean, this is an obvious one, but rolling in those TVs on the carts to watch the ACC tournament in like elementary school, like the teacher would roll those in at 12:30. Oh my God, it'd be amazing during a school day, during that Tuesday, Wednesday. No better feeling than seeing those TVs rolling.
Yeah, shout out my parents. I was always just at the game. Hey, my birthday is always the ACC tournament. Like my birthday's Wednesday for the ACC tournament almost always. So like my birthday present every year is, hey, just here's an upper level row Q ACC tournament ticket. There you go.
We'll drop you in front of the Coliseum.
Yeah, we'll drop you off in front of the Coliseum. I'm going to Costco later.
Yeah, there you go.
But anyhow, no, I cannot wait for this week. It's going to be amazing. Greensboro, I hope Greensboro shows out. I'm so excited to get there. Hopefully all the travel goes well and everything. Hopefully Duke wins the ACC tournament, which would be awesome. But hoping for I'll be pulling for almost all the Carolina schools except the horrible one in Chapel Hill, obviously.
Yeah.
But most importantly,
fair enough.
As together as a conference, as the entire state of North Carolina, as college basketball fans, hold our hands together and let's retire Jim Boeheim together.
Hey, that sounds like a plan to me, Carter. Kumbaya.
I cannot wait. All right, thank you so much for listening. Subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow us on TikTok at CarterCast. On all social media at CarterCast. Check out blogs. I'm going to be putting out picks blogs all the time, so follow me on Twitter at CarterB8. Follow Connor at Connor_Sparrow. I'll be tweeting out picks. I'll be putting them out on CarterCast.com as well, so make sure to stay tuned for those. I'll be doing extensive stuff all the time. Check out All Hornets, the SI affiliated page. I'll be writing for there. I have an article coming out this week with them. Just what to look for in March Madness as a Hornets fan, and then also UVU blog coming out tomorrow as well. You'll be listening to this on Monday, so it's out right now as you're listening. So go check that out, CarterCast.com. Thank you so much for listening. You guys are the absolute best, and we'll see y'all next time, and we'll see y'all in Greensboro.